Good evening, everyone. I hope you guys had a wonderful day today. And if you're not, I'm sorry. So I wish you you would have a wonderful day tomorrow. So first of all, let us move on now. So I'm going to share my screen now. So wait a second. Okay. Can you guys see my screen? Someone can respond.
Yes, Thamindu, we can see.
Okay. So let us move on. So if I talk about myself, I'm from Chankana, Gamage. I'm a third-year undergraduate software engineering student at Sri Lanka Institute of Information Technology. I'm a Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador, and I'm a member of MS Club of SLIIT, and I'm a member of SLIIT Force community. So let's move on to the session. So what do you think about Azure Cognitive Services? Do you guys know what is Azure Cognitive Services? I know that if you are related to IT sector and if you are doing DevOps, also some kind of things, so it's not a new word, and we can do lots of things with Azure. So in the part of Azure, as a part of Azure, Cognitive Services is there. So I'm going to give you a brief introduction about Azure Cognitive Services today. And let us move on. Today, I'm going to talk about what are Azure Cognitive Services, overview of Azure Cognitive Services, industries that can be benefited from using Azure Cognitive Services, and getting started with Azure Cognitive Services, best practices. And I'm going to give you a live demo of Azure Computer Vision Service, which is a part of Azure Cognitive Service. And finally, I will give you a brief conclusion. And without any further ado, let's start. So my first point, what are Azure Cognitive Services? As you can see, Azure Cognitive Services are cloud-based artificial intelligence services. They assist developers to build cognitive intelligence into applications without having direct AI or data science skills or knowledge. So what is this? Azure Cognitive Services is designed to be easy to use and integrate into applications. With a range of pricing plans, there are a lot of range of pricing plans you can use according to your requirement. And there are a lot of service levels to suit different needs. It enables developers to leverage AI and machine learning without requiring extensive knowledge or resources. Azure make it more powerful tool for businesses which are looking to optimize their operations, enhance customer experiences, and gain valuable insight from their data. And if we see about the other points, Azure Cognitive Services uses API calls to embed the ability to see, hear, speak, search, understand, and accelerate advanced decision making. And if I tell you a brief story, once I was when I was when I was learning this Azure Cognitive Services, when I started to learn this Azure Cognitive Services, I thought this is a big deal. So this I can't do this. This is part of another level, and there should be have massive knowledge to do these kinds of things. But after learning after learning for some time, I understood that this is not a big
Not a
deal.
big deal. Actually,
It's kind of a thing, but it is not a big deal. This is not actually rocket science. This is you can easily learn and understand the things that we have been integrated here and that can be used for our day-to-day purposes. And that is a brief overview of cognitive service. So that's the best thing I can give you for that. And let us move on to the next slide. So if I give you an overview of Azure Cognitive Services, it is provided by Microsoft. You have to remember this is provided by Microsoft. This enables developers to add AI and machine learning capabilities, as I previously mentioned. So if we move on, Azure Cognitive Services is a suite of cloud-based services provided by Microsoft. This allows developers to incorporate AI and machine learning capabilities into their applications without requiring extensive knowledge or resources. As I told you, you don't need any previous knowledge, or you don't need to be experts to use these things. So if I mention, when I was in second year, I just used this Azure Cognitive Service. There is a service that is called Face API for login purposes. I easily used it because I didn't have any extensive knowledge about that, and I just started to learn about these things. And if I tell it to you, you can also try this. So for your projects and for your day-to-day activities, so for your office projects or some kind of things. And you can see the second point there. So Azure Cognitive Services uses pre-built models and APIs to perform tasks such as speech recognition, language translation, image and video analysis, and more. So what are these pre-built models? So you have eaten pasta or noodles or something like some food like that. I know you have. So as a foodie. I eat so much junk food. Uh, I eat sometimes I eat pasta and noodles or those kinds of things. So think of a packet of noodles is halfly prepared. We can prepare a final dish after boiling noodles and adding condiments. After after some time, you got a delicious meal. Then voila, you have a nice meal. Uh, and when it comes to pre-built models, the same thing also happens there. We can add the base components of a pre-built model and make amazing systems. Azure Cognitive Services are one of those pre-built models. You can make massive systems in that pre-built model, using that pre-built model. To use Azure Cognitive Services, developers needs to create an Azure account and subscription. This is the trick. This is the thing that you have to remember. You have to keep in mind. You need to have an account and a subscription for you, and then create a cognitive service resource. The resource contains the API key and the endpoints required to use the service. Developers can then um, uh, access the services through API and software development kits. Uh, so after accessing those kinds of resources, they can easily integrate into applications, and including web applications, mobile applications, and desktop applications. Those kinds of applications can be prepared from the using the Azure Cognitive Services. For example, if a developer wants to add speech recognition to his mobile application, he can use the speech to text API provided by Azure Cognitive Services. They can then integrate this API into their application, allowing users to input spoken language that is automatically transcribed into text, right? I have this kind of experience. So one of my friends from a foreign country, and I was, and from and me, we got into some chat, and then suddenly he tries to speak in his own language. Then I don't know his language. His language is actually Spanish. So he told me some words, and I didn't know. The thing is, after some time, I just uh, search for a translator and let that translator listen to his voice. That way, he just I just translated his own words, and then I reversed that translator to give me the exact language that he spoke. So you under by reading the English pronunciation, I just spoke with him. So he was actually amazed by for a moment, but then he understood that I was using a translator. So that is actually this. So overall, Azure Cognitive Services is designed to be a powerful and easy to use solution for businesses. Uh, by providing pre-built models and APIs, scalable pricing options, and easy integration with existing applications, Azure Cognitive Services is an excellent solution for business of all sizes and industries. So that's about the overview of Azure Cognitive Services. Now let us move on to the next slide. So can you think of some industries that can be benefited from using Azure Cognitive Services? There are some industries that mentioned here. Bear with me, I don't have my camera of my laptop is broken, so I am using my phone camera. So don't bear with me if I doesn't focus on you. And so the industries, when talking about industries, so here are some examples of industries that can be benefited from using Azure Cognitive Services. So first one, healthcare. So can you think of how healthcare is benefited from Azure Cognitive Services? If I move on, so healthcare providers can use Azure Cognitive Services to analyze medical images and patient data, enabling faster and more accurate diagnosis. So, for example, they can use the computer vision API to detect anomalies in X-rays and MRI scans. There can be lots of scans. And so if I tell you my own experience, uh, when one day I just broke my hand and just went to a doctor. Then the doctor was able to understand the fractures of the bone. Then he showed me he got his phone and showed me the application. I don't know what is that. And he scanned my whole X-ray and showed me that the phone just displayed me the exact locations of the fractures of my bone. So that is my personal experience. So can you think of how expanding these things? Can you think the capabilities of these things? It's quite wonderful, isn't it? So let us move on to the next point. Um, then, so it's the second point is retail. So how can retailers be you get the use of Azure Cognitive Services? Retailers can use Azure Cognitive Services to optimize their operations and enhance customer experiences. For example, they can use Face API to develop facial recognition systems that can be used to personalize shopping experience or security purposes. For the personalized API to develop recommendation engines that suggest products based on customer preferences and behaviors. So I know most of you guys have this experience. So when you are browsing on internet, uh, there are several platforms, Facebook, Instagram, so on, and you see some lots of ads, right? Uh, have you ever thought of the things that sometimes the ads are showing the exact things that you need, right? Uh, as for me, uh, not for me, for most of the people, if you dream something at night about some food or some item or some grocery, some cloth or something like that, the following day you can see it on your mobile screen, right? Most of the time that happens. If you dream something at night and then the morning you go to your phone and you just browse the internet, you can see the thing that you saw in your dreams. So that's how the Azure Cognitive Services and uh, these services help retailers and shops to grow their production lines. So that's the thing. I know that you have the experience of that. So let us move on to the next point. So financial services. So how can the financial services be benefited? Financial institutions can use Azure Cognitive Services to analyze customer data and detect fraudulent activity. So when for the current situation in the country, this can be actually used in a massive way. For example, they can use the anomaly detector API to identify unusual patterns in financial transaction. You know what I mean, right? Or the language understanding API to develop. So if develop chatbots and assist customers with inquiries and fraud alerts. So two kinds of things can be done with this. So you can actually keep the customer interaction, and you can actually validate or audit your financial activity. Both the things can be done through this, right? So it's actually amazing thing. So in 1990s and early 2000s, these are done by humans. It's a very hard work when you are going through lots of data. This it consumes time, and it can be very uh, hard, and there could be a lot of errors there. So by automating these things, you can see how it's done, right? So let us move on to the next point. So education. Education institutions can actually use Azure Cognitive Service for develop personalized learning platforms for students. For example, like using language understanding API to develop chatbots to answer student questions. I know you have the experience with this, right? From after, in the late 2022 and early 2023, there is a bot, right? Which is doing our homework for us. This is the actual miracle, actually. So most of the time, students, including myself, we use this bot for our homework. So this is a thing. You know, the chat GPT is this kind of a thing. It gets the student input, and it just generates its AI. It just uses its AI algorithms to generate the answers. So you can see, you know, you have the experience. I know. So if I move on, so for me, actually, it is the best thing happened. So sometimes I just use ChatGPT, but I'm not encouraging you. I'm not encouraging you. I don't even use that for all the time. I just get some knowledge, information. So use these things uh, carefully for your own good. Copying homework is not a good thing. So you have to try it yourself, right, guys? So let us move on. When using Azure Cognitive Services in education, you can use the also use the text analytics API to analyze feedback from students and teachers and identify different areas for improvement. This might not be applicable for our country, but for in foreign countries, there are the ways to do these things, right? So let us move on. So how can manufacturing be benefited from Azure Cognitive Services? Manufacturers can use Azure Cognitive Services to optimize their operations and improve product quality. For example, they can use computer vision API to detect defects in products in the manufacturing process. So if I tell you a story, in USA, there was a company, I can't mention the name, I don't remember it. They were losing their sale for some time. So then they used a AI powered tool to find the reason. So after going through, there was a little bit of after going through some processes, they found out there was a little bit error when like packaging the products. When they were not able to see that even they were using a lot of quality insurance quality assurance programs, and they were using a lot of quality assurance specialists to find those things, but they were not able to find it. So that little packaging error just cost them millions of dollars. So they use this API. They use some kind of API to find the reason for these things. So it just identify, and that was the reason. After going through this system, just it also actually suggested a way to prevent that thing. So you have to remember these AI models are trained by professionals. So they are getting some professional persons knowledge into their databases, and then it processes that data, and then they are going to use it in their practical life. So yeah, it just works like that. So you have heard of expert systems, right? So this is an expert system. So if you want to train a model, uh, giving it a better name, better knowledge about something, you can use a professional of that field, and then give his data, give his experiences and knowledge into that model. Then you can use it for your future purposes. It is actually it is less time consuming, and it's very cost effective. So you don't have to pay a person for doing their job. No, you can easily integrate a service for doing those kinds of things. So that is how manufacturing process get benefited from Azure Cognitive Services. So um, these are just some few examples of industries that can be benefited from Azure Cognitive Services. With its wide range of services and capabilities, Azure Cognitive Services has the potential to transform businesses of all sizes and industry, providing with powerful AI and machine learning capabilities. These can enhance the operations of that businesses and industries and help their their growth actually. So that's all about the industries that can be benefited from the Azure Cognitive Services. Now let us move on. You can see currently there are some Azure Cognitive Services available. So computer vision and the other things. So let us take one by one. So let's get the first point. Azure Cognitive Services are evolved exponentially over time. So it's actually a fact, right? You can see this AI and machine learning concepts are actually getting expanded day by day. You can see those things, right? You can see there is a bot named Sophia in as a citizen. So even UAE has declared AI as a person, right? So that's a huge win for artificial intelligence. And as you can see, the AI models are getting complex and complex every day. You can see the fictional things in Iron Man, Avengers, and the other things. You know, Jarvis is a AI program, so it's very advanced. So in the future, it's not going to be a fiction. It's actually going to be a reality. So these Azure Cognitive Services and other services which are provided, they are the baselines. They are the foundation of this evolvement. You can see. If we are lucky, we can actually experience those things in the near future. So let us move on. So let's get to the first point, computer vision. This service actually provides developers with the ability to analyze and extract information from images and videos. So I'm going to show you a demonstration how this is going to work. And the computer vision API can be used for object detection, facial recognition, optical character recognition. So you guys know OCR, right? You guys have used these things in your you can see when you are going into some lectures also in for SLIIT students. I'm telling you, if you get your phone and after the lecture, the lecturer puts on the uh, code on the white screen, then you can scan and mark your attendance. So these kinds of things are happening. This is actually a very good thing. So computer vision services. So OCR, this is how. So there is actually a application called Office Lens for provided by Microsoft. which is using Azure Computer Vision. So this computer vision can be used for understanding scenes, people's faces, emotions, most probably, not most probably, most likely. Those kinds of things can be done through computer vision. Now let us move to the next point, speech. This service provides developers with the ability to convert spoken language into text and vice versa. Vice versa means, you know, the reverse, right? The speech API can be used to speech text transcription and text to speech synthesis. So you have here know this, right? So you can tell a word and then it's going to be translated into text. And if you type a word or sentence, it can be also pronounced through these services. So also, you can use this speech API for uh, voice recognition and all the other things. So let us move on to the next point, language. This service provided developers with the ability to understand and analyze natural language. The natural language means you are speaking your language. Your most probably Sri Lankans, they speak Sinhala, Tamil, and the other languages, English, those things. The language API can be used to sentiment analysis, entity recognition, and key phrase extraction. Most probably those things. I forgot language translation. So language translation is also done by uh, Azure Cognitive Service, which is the language service. And let us move on. So decision service. This service provides developers with the ability to make decisions based on data. So it's not actually giving the data by thinking, it's making the decisions according to data. So sometimes for humans, for us, we just think when someone asks, can you go with me today? Yes. Without thinking anything, we are going to give the yes. That's the thing with us. So for Azure Cognitive Services, they don't do like that. They just think according to their data. So they are analyzing the whole data stream, and then they use their algorithms to make a decision. So this API can be actually used for anomaly detection, personalization, and recommendation settings. So I previously mentioned the recommendation settings. So the things you dream at night can be seen in the can be seen on your phone screen the next day. That's the thing. So let us move on for anomaly detector. So anomaly detector. This service actually provides the ability developers with the ability to detect unusual patterns or anomalies in data. The anomaly detector API can be used for fraud detection, predictive maintenance, and quality control. So I told you, so in Sri Lanka, we can't use this. But for other countries, they are using these for audit things and auditing and finding logs, all those things. So this can be used for those things, right? And let us move for the other point, form recognizer. This service provides developers with the ability to extract information from structured forms and unstructured form. And this API can be used for invoice processing, receipt print, receipt bill receipt recognition, and other forms of data extraction. So you can get the idea from this, right? And let us move on to the next point, immersive reader. This service provides developers with the ability to enhance reading experiences for users. The immersive reader API can be used for text-to-speech, language translation, and other accessibility features. Can you guys see a thing here? These all services are connected with each other. Uh, so sometimes they might be depending on each other. But can you guys see can you guys see a pattern here? These all services can be used for their own work, as well as they can help, they can be used for help the other services as well. So that's the thing here. So for the final point, let us move on to personalizer. This service provides actually developers with the ability to personalize user experience based on the preferences and behavior. So I mentioned you this before, right? In the phone example. This personalized API can actually be used for recommendation systems, content personalization, and other personalization to have the personalized experience. So personalization is focusing on you and yourself. So if you have something in your mind, it just if you search something in your browser or something like that, it gets the data and store, and then it processes the data and then give you the output, recommending you things and those other things, right? So overall, Azure Cognitive Services provides developers with a wide range of AI and ML capabilities. These can be integrated into systems, applications, and other things. These pre-built models and APIs can be used to make decisions, critical decisions easily and quickly. So that's a pro advantage. So this is actually a very interesting field. AI is actually very interesting. You guys can try it by yourself for your research projects and for your campus projects and so or your personal projects. So these are actually very interesting. So now let us move on. So now I'm going to show you how Azure works here. So when getting started with Azure, so you guys have to, first of all, you guys have to have a Azure account. So without an Azure account, you can't use Azure Cognitive Services or anything. So even you have an account, you have to have subscription. There are several kinds of subscription, free subscription, and that free subscription is only valid for 2 months. And then for our university students, you can have 100 Azure credits for your SLIIT email account. And I don't know about the other universities. You can actually have you need to have subscription for your Azure projects. So now I'm going to show you how to create Azure Cognitive Service resource and pricing tiers and service layers, how to get the API keys and endpoints for the using Azure services. So let us move on. So let me just be here and so I'm going to demonstrate how to use Azure Cognitive Services using Azure Service Portal. So let us move on. Okay, I hope you guys can see my screen, right? So let us move on. So in order to do this, you have to first have a Azure account. So you can go to Azure here. Guys, can you see my screen? Can you? If you guys can put it in chat, okay. Um, okay. So first of all, you have to go to Azure. Then you can see here. This is the official Azure component that you can use. So after moving on, moving on. So this is actually the Azure form homepage, and you can see here. You can see the all the overviews and all the other things you can learn from here. You can learn about Azure services and all the other things here. So let's get started with Azure. So here you can see the services that can be get from Azure. Now you can see these are the pricing plans. So pay as you go plus get free services. And here now you can actually sign into your Azure account from here. So now if I sign into my Azure account, if you don't have an account, you have to create one. So you have to be prepared for that. So I have to say you have to use uh, your credits. If you don't have any credits, you have to top up your credits using your credit card or something. So first there can be free trial. You can use that to your for your getting to know the environment and the other things. So mm, so this is my Azure portal page. So you can see you can actually upgrade your account here. So now let me take you guys into your Azure dashboard of my my you can see my dashboard here. So this is my dashboard. So here you can see my subscription. This is my subscription that I was using to create this Azure account. So after using your free trials, this is my free account. So if for myself, I have an enterprise subscription too. So which is giving me $150 worth of Azure credits. So you have to create an Azure subscription for your uh, work. So now let us move on. So in order to use Azure Cognitive Services, you have to create Azure resource groups. So resource group, resource. So resource groups. So in these resource groups, you have to enter your data. So if you want to create a resource group, so if I create a resource here, so for this, I'm going to create a I'm going to use my Visual Studio Enterprise subscription. Now I'm going to use Azure demo resource here, resource, name as my resource group. And I'm going to select my region as East US. You can see use any region. If your clients are in most of the time East US, you can use the East US region, and according to your requirement, you can select the region. So the most fast, the most near one is the most efficient one for your uh, uh, as your for your region. So uh, so for me, I'm using East US. You can use Central India, Asia Pacific, or something like that. So for your own requirement. So after validation passed, so you can create your Azure resource group. After creating this resource group, you can actually use that resource group to create your Azure resources. So now I'm going to show you how I'm going to use Azure Cognitive Services resource for my demonstration purposes. So I'm going to use this Azure Cognitive Service resource. So you can see here, uh, language services, speech services. So these services are broke down into several categories. So you can see speech, language, uh, vision. So you can use these things to build smart apps and services. So this is basically AI. So vision, decision. Oh, you know this sign, right? Open AI. You guys have used it, right? So multi-purpose. Those things can be used for your own uh, benefit. So now I'm going to create a computer vision resource here. So if I create it here, so if I'm going to choose my subscription, and then I'm going to select my resource group. So resources are created under the resource group. So each resource is mapped to a resource group. So now I'm going to create an instance here. So uh, mm, Azure Cognitive Services demo. I'm using that name, and I'm using my pricing tier as standard. So I'm using my subscription, right? Then I'm going to agree. You have to responsible read these things. Microsoft provides. Uh, you have to read this responsible AI notice. So this is actually mentioning the responsibility that is getting from you should be getting from yourself when using these services. So after that, uh, you can tick this thing, and then you can create your resource. After creating it, then the validation is going to be done. If you even if you don't tick that checkbox, it's not going to proceed you to the next step. So if you do like that, the validation is going to be failed. So now I'm going to use the create button, and then you have to wait some time to create the deployment. Then, as you can see, the deployment is being created. So after creating the deployment, you have to wait until your deployment is complete. So in here, the deployment is complete. Then you can go to your resource. In here, you can see the things that you can do with the computer vision service. Then you can actually follow these steps for your own convenience. So API console, you can actually learn how to do these things and the containers about things. You can actually see the documentation here, how to do these things, what is computer vision, and you can learn all about the computer vision and the other things. So now I'm going to only demonstrate you about Azure Cognitive Services Computer Vision service. So after creating these things, so you can go to your keys. Yeah. These are the keys that have been created for you. So you can see these are my first key. This is my second key. And this is the endpoint. This endpoint is the one that is going to be called when you uh, want to access your actual resource, cognitive services demo. This is the resource. And then you can actually access this resource, and you can do these kinds of things. So this is actually for the demonstration part. So if I move on to my resource groups, I have previously created one that is more reliable for your work, and then I'm going to show you how it's going to be done. So you can see this is the custom vision resource that I've created. In here, you can see the keys that I have created. And now I'm going to show you how custom vision is used to read handwritten example of something, and it gets the digitalized output. So I'm going to actually basically show you the thing what OCR is doing. OCR, I told you the thing previously, OCR, which are used to read text from cameras and the other things. So let us move on to the demonstration part. So this is my code that I have written for my OCR demonstration. So this is actually the key. This is the key actually. This key is actually I got from here. So this is the key one that I got. And then you can see in here the API endpoint. So I'm sorry, this is not the correct resource. I have used several resources, and this is the resource that I have used. You can actually get these things here. This is the keys, and you can see the endpoint name here, and the thing that I have used. So this is the key. First key, you can see the exact matching key here, and then you can see the endpoint. So if I show you the URL that I'm getting my printed handwritten document. So this is actually a image. So you can see, hi Reddit, I've been told that my writing is quite neat. So here it is. So you can see, and this is the writing I used. Okay. And then if I run this program, you can actually see in the terminal. So if I open my terminal here, now I'm going to run my program here. So the reading printed text from URL. So just reading. These things can get time. So read printed text on URL. So you can see reorganized text, recognized text. Hi Reddit, I've been told that you can see here. Hi Reddit, I've been told that my writing is quite good, quite neat. So here it is. This is my usual handwriting that I used to blah blah blah. So you can see these things, right? If I show you another example, so Reddit handwriting examples. So this is the one I got from writing. You can see these things, right? And now I'm going to show you another example for handwriting. So you can see this URL. Now I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to paste it here where I got the printed text example URL. So if I replace it here and run the program again, you can see I am forever in the pursuit of achieving perfect handwriting. Does anyone else feel the same? So you can see exactly what here it says. It's going to be printed here. So even the anon part is there. So for a friend, anon. So you can see the beauty of these things, right? So this is actually the demo part that I want to show you. You can actually dive deep into these things. So it is not limited. You can actually get the best of these things from your uh, things, best of these things on your own. So if you try, you can achieve anything. So now let us move on again to the slide presentation. So give me a moment. So I showed you the demo and Azure Computer Vision Service. And now let us move on to the best practices of using Azure Cognitive Services. And first, choose the right service. Azure Cognitive Services offers a range of services, each with its own set of features and capabilities. Choose the service that the best fits your need and make sure you understand the limitations and requirements of the service. So you have to be aware of the service. That means like you have to be aware of your budget and the cost that is going to be deducted from this using these services. So if you use Azure Cognitive Service pay as you go option, as I mentioned, you have to be aware of those things. And then you have to use the appropriate tier. So appropriate tier means Azure Cognitive Services offers different price and tiers, as you know. Uh, each actually with different level of performance and scalability. You have to choose the appropriate tier based on your usage need and budget. And I told you that if the cost overrun, this is going to be a problem. Then that way you have to be aware of your system requirements. So if you can't deliver product that does not meet system requirements, or if it exceed the budget of your client, so it's going to be fail. So either you are getting yourself unproductive, then or the client is getting their way unproductive. So there's the catch for that. And you have to remember, you have to secure data. You have to protect your data by using encryption and access control mechanisms. Azure Cognitive Services provide built-in security layers actually, and those can be encryption at rest and this can be encryption at rest and transit, and you can use actually access control methods using role-based access control, all those things. And then you have to optimize your usage. Optimize your usage. You have to optimize your usage by setting resource limits. You by using caching and minimizing unnecessary requests. So when using API calls, you have to be aware of the things that are going to be used, and this will help to reduce cost and improve performance. So unnecessary API calls, that's going to actually reduce the performance as well as it's going to be increasing cost. So if you use the pay as you go subscription, you have to be aware of those points as well. And the third thing is you have to monitor your usage. Monitoring usage is you can be done using your Azure subscription account. You can see in that chart. There you can see the subscription status and other things. So monitor usage to identify any issues to optimize your usage. Azure Cognitive Services provides built-in monitoring capabilities such as usage metrics and logs. And let's move on to the another next point. User content delivery network. User content delivery network means user CDN. You might have heard of this. This is going to improve the performance and reduce latency. So latency is a big thing when it comes to the industry. So you have to be aware of the latency. Azure offers a global content delivery network service like Azure CDN, which can be used to Azure Cognitive Services. And then finally you have to follow the best practices for AI and machine learning. So follow best practices for artificial intelligence and machine learning means like such as data quality, bias mitigation, and ethical considerations. Azure Cognitive Services provides tools for those things as well. So such as machine learning and responsible AI. Those things can be achieved. The best practices can be also achieved using Azure services as well. So it's actually a very comfortable, very user-friendly services. Those are actually very user-friendly services that can be used to improve productivity of ourselves. So that comes to the conclusion. In conclusion, I have to say Azure Cognitive Services offer a comprehensive suite of API tools that enable developers to add powerful cognitive capabilities. So when talking about cognitive services, Azure uh, Services provides powerful cognitive capabilities to the applications. Offers a comprehensive suite of APIs and tools, allow advanced features designed to be easily integrated, as I mentioned. This can be done with a focus on artificial intelligence, machine learning, and natural language processing. Azure Cognitive Services allow for advanced features such as speech recognition, image analysis, sentiment analysis, and many more. Additionally, the services are designed to be easily integrated into existing applications. And it provides a powerful set of tools. So, making it easily and simple to use add cognitive services into any project. You can actually use cognitive services in any project. Overall, Azure Cognitive Services provide a powerful set of tools that can help businesses and developers to build more intelligent, data-driven applications for improve their productivity and their capabilities. This will allow actually their human desires to be easily granted, and it will increase the productivity of humans and us immensely well. So that comes to the end of our session, and thank you. I have to say there is a bigger team behind this uh, session. So a lot of people helped me to overcome this and to give you a proper introduction to your Azure Cognitive Services. I have to thank MS Club of SLIIT to for giving me the opportunity, and I would like to say MLSA, Microsoft Learn Student Ambassadors, and I would like to thank all the people who joined with me, all of you guys who have been a tremendous help, giving me feedback and giving me all the other responses that necessary to maintain this uh, session more interestingly. So I hope that you guys have learned something new. If you want to know about anything, so you can reach me through my Teams account. And I would like to encourage you all. You have to learn about ML and AI. So future of computing is actually based on AI and ML. So you need to be aware of those things. So when you are if you are a developer, you need to know everything. You need to know about a little bit from everything that can be very useful for you, because in the future there can be a lot of things that can be used for your productive code development and your future work. So I wish you guys all the best for your future and keep in touch and wish you all the very best.